All right, good afternoon, Boaz here. Well, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about homesteading from a safety perspective because you got to realize that when you move, and for those who do want to move and you're setting up your homes, typically it's going to be something that you build. It's going to be I mean, if you got the finances and the resources, you can build your home. You can set up a cabin, which a lot of people do. You can purchase a double wide, a single wide, and a lot of people do that as well. So, and it all depends on your budget. You do what you can afford. Me, I was able to purchase an old used double wide, set it up, as well as some cabins that I was able to get. And you set these things up. You set these things up, and you got to understand something. When you move out to the country from the city, we are used to a certain level of protection when it comes to where we live. Now, when you have a home and you have a mortgage, typically you have to have insurance on that, and that insurance is a part of your mortgage. Now, if you are a renter, you can have renter's insurance, and this stuff ensures that just in case something happens, you are protected and your assets are protected. I always say again, health is wealth. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of your body physically. What we're going to do is just get into, from a homesteading perspective, some of the things that you're going to want to have in your home to ensure that just in case stuff happens, you are prepared as much as humanly possible. Because from an insurance perspective, in the country, typically, especially when everything is paid for, and especially if you have a wood burning stove in your home or your cabins, and I have about 4 wood burning stoves going right now. And if something happens, hey, I'm asked out. We're asked out. There is no insurance policy that covers this kind of stuff because, the war on homesteaders. If you have a wood burning stove, they don't cover, or your facilities are not coverable via insurance. So you're self insured. So in other words, if something happens, there goes whatever it is that you have. So what you're going to do is have certain things in place that's going to, minimize the potential of losses. So let's get into that, okay? First things first, I'm going to go into the 5 things that you should have. Number 1 is a first aid kit, okay? The simple reason why you want to have a first aid kit is that, when you're working on a piece of land, I'm constantly getting cuts and bruises to my arms, to my legs, to my hands especially, and this is why you should have some gloves as well. And I didn't put that on the list, but do I have gloves? I store a lot of gloves as well. So I'm going to say 6 things that you should have. Gloves, but in addition to that, a first aid kit, okay? Now, this is going to take care of a lot of the basic injuries that you're going to get into when it comes to, just living on a land, living on a homestead. You want to have a first aid kit. This particular first aid kits, now there's different advanced kinds of first aid kits, but it's going to deal with burns. It's going to deal with a cold pack. It's going to have iodine in it, adhesive bandages, things of that nature to ensure that, hey, you have to flush your eye if something gets into it. A good first aid kit is going to be good. I have several of them, and I always make sure that I have a first aid kit in every single structure. So, just in case something happens, first aid kit, okay? Number 2, carbon monoxide. And 3, smoke detectors, okay? Now, when you are sleeping and, carbon monoxide can kill you in your sleep. Smoke can kill you in your sleep. A lot of fires that take place is because, the chimney that you're dealing with, your flue is not clean. a lot of creosote, accumulates, or you can leave something next to the fire. This is why it's big. I'm big on safety when it comes to making sure everything is clear around the wood stove, that the wood stove is properly installed and it is working properly because, and it's clean, because if something happens, you want to make sure that you can have the accurate means to make sure that you can detect what's going on, especially if you have a family. So make sure you have a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide alarm. Okay. Another thing that you want to have, and you see that I have this right there available. Okay, and that is a fire extinguisher. Okay. Many times I see people, they don't have fire extinguishers in their homes, and it's important. I mean, the more fire extinguishers that you have, the better. But, I make sure that I have a fire extinguisher in every cabin so that just in case something happens, you can quickly extinguish a fire. Okay? Very important to have fire extinguisher. Again, they don't insure cabins. They don't insure double wides or single wides or homes unless it meets their specs and they got to come in and inspect it and everything. But for the most part, they don't insure a home with a wood burning stove in it. Make sure that you have these things. Fire extinguisher, very critical. They make several different kinds, but this one, you have the A, B, C ones, common combustibles, flammable liquids, and electrical equipment. You want to have something that's going to deal with this. Just in case something happens, you have a fire extinguisher. Okay? And last but not least, a flashlight. Okay? Now, power goes out. You want to make sure that you can immediately get to a flashlight or something that's going to illuminate the situation, because, hey, if you can't see and you can't see around the land and stuff, hey, you got a problem. So you want to make sure that you immediately have this to have access to. So just in case something happens, you can immediately see what's going on. Okay? So those are the 5 to 6 things that you're going to want to have on hand at all times to ensure that, you're keeping yourself and your family safe, and that, you can minimize any losses. Again, because if a structure burns down, you're not insured. They don't insure this stuff, okay? And, this kind of stuff you got to take seriously, especially for yourself and your family, to have these things and to make sure that everybody who's capable of using these things know how to use them as quickly as possible, especially a fire extinguisher. It's a sad thing to see because of negligence that, people died in smoke inhalation. People died because they didn't have a fire extinguisher on hand. And, hey, a fire can start out small, but then it grows large. But the quicker you have that you're aware through a fire alarm or carbon monoxide detector that something is going on, the quickly you can get to that fire extinguisher, hey, and deal with that situation. So those are the 5 things that you're going to have on your homestead, in your cabins, your homes, what have you, to make sure that you can deal with any kind of natural threat as quickly as possible. Make sure you have them. I cannot stress this enough. All right? Shalom.